by Marcus and Joe. My name is Joe,
It's Marcus.
and we have our collection as a duo for a podcast. Welcome to our very first episode where we're focusing on ambition. Before we go further, let me give you a synopsis quickly of what this show's about. It's called Unscripted Dreams, and the reason why is because, as we know, life is full of surprises, both good and bad. The day to day journey is full of unforeseen obstacles, and sometimes it's hard to see our way through. Beyond the norm and mundane are where unscripted dreams live. Join, as I mentioned before, my name is Joe, and we got
Marcus.
for thought provoking discussions and interviews to help us navigate through the fog and create our own path. We are the Unscripted Dream Podcast, operating outside the margins to motivate and inspire our audience. So let's double back to our first topic of today. First and foremost, just want to let you know this podcast is not hour or 2 hours long. This ain't no Joe Rogan show. This is simply motivational, short, quick, get to the point, keep you moving through your day, man. So we try not to go over 30 minutes, but it will vary from each episode. So let's go back to ambition, man. So ambition, most people are like ambition. It's very broad. Simply, what ambition is intended. The intended definition for ambition is simply a strong desire to achieve. That's what we're going to focus on. The premise of this show is about ambition. Let's start off with you, Marcus. What do you think about ambition? What's your take on that?
My take on ambition is, I mean, it's a goal. It's a goal that you have, but for me, it's a goal that you're really passionate about. So when I think about ambition, it's not tied into my work ethic. That's something separate. Things I'm ambitious about are things that I'm passionate about. Things that I really want to pursue, and I'm really determined to reach those goals that I have. I would say for me, ambition is reserved for my highest priority goals, not going to the store. I'm not ambitious to go to the grocery store to you know go check the mailbox. I'm ambitious as far as getting, for instance, getting this podcast started. Putting in the work that it takes to getting to the point where we're actually recording the first episode. Things like that, not your mundane everyday things, but real goals that you're passionate about. What about you?
Well, just to piggyback back off of what you're saying, man, like, we're human and we want to basically flaunt that. Like, we're flawed and all. So, with this being our first episode, just kind of bear with us, ambition, what inspired us to do, well, what inspired me to do this was more so, it was an opportunity. I'm very big on blogging. Every Monday, Motivational Monday. That's my thing. I've been doing it for the past almost 10 years now. And it started off with doing mass text messages to well over 100 people. To now, I actually just put it on the blog and anybody can look at it. All you got to do is just, tap in and click on the link. And pretty much, man, we just kind of saw each other's work ethic. He wanted to start a business based on motivating people and networking people and putting them in the right positions that they deserve to be in. And I support that heavily based on me motivating people to get through their day to day life circumstances. So it goes hand in hand. And I kind of want to tie that into our first episode being about ambition because that's how I look at it as ambition. To me, ambition is sought out as something you're driven to sacrifice. In my own words, I think that it's definitely the fuel to your destination. Without having any ambition, I don't think you can really achieve anything. So, I feel like with us actually coming together, because, we're brothers, but at the same time, we're very like minded in some ways and very different in other ways. And I feel like with this type of drive that we have, I think it could take us far where people can benefit from us. I think that with ambition, it's very important for you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like this is very uncomfortable for the both of us because we're both introverts, wholeheartedly. You may hear me, maybe like hear from me, maybe like every so often, maybe every other month, depending on how close we are. So, I'm always in the cut somewhere, incognito, not incognito, but incognito. So, you know, that's just how I am. I'm just weird like that, man. But what's really important about ambition is, you got to accept the hard realities of the world, and you got to work through them with positive demeanor, man. That's what it's all about. Nobody can knock you off your square because you're determined to get to where you want to be. That's ambition.
Yeah, what was interesting about Joe, what you said about for the past 10 years that you've been, working on your blog and putting things together on your end. This is well before, 10 years ago, we're both still in college at that point. Um, and what was funny about it is that at the time, for me, kind of seeing what you were working on, I didn't have the 10 years ago, I didn't have the idea to start my own business. I was just focused on, graduating from college and hopefully finding a job and making some money, some decent money. Um, so,
I hear that.
so the fact that you worked on it for that long and through the period through the past 10 years, seeing it and sending that to me on a weekly basis now, for many years now, and kind of just seeing the evolution of how your content has developed and how things have developed on my end. It was weird that as I kind of worked on my business and started to go through the process of actually, you know, doing the things that go into starting a business, working on the business plan, figuring out what my vision for my business is, and, wanting to connect with like-minded people and people that actually have a desire to, help other people. Um, I think that's kind of where we, outside of our relationship, um, you know, as as friends, as brothers, and things like that, it was like I see Joe doing what he's doing, and regardless of what you know personal things he might have going on, this man still every week finds a way to send out this message, regardless of what's going on. And I'd be surprised if you tell me someone who lived for 10 years and hasn't had any kind of issue going on in their personal lives or in their work, their professional lives. So just to see the dedication and the commitment to what he was doing for that long, and getting that out there when I know he had his own stuff that he's dealing with, that he still has the time to send me something that would encourage me, that would motivate me. When I got to the point where I was like, well, I had the idea for a podcast. Joe was the first person that I approached. I approached with the idea because I've seen his dedication and commitment, to doing what he's doing with the goals that he has for himself, and that's why I think this is. It's a great collaboration. It's really a testament of how your ambition can lead you to doing things that are outside of your comfort zone, because you start to realize that you might want to get your message out there. You might be more reserved type of individual, but just because you're reserved doesn't mean that you don't have things to say, things that matter, and that you can impact somebody's life. You don't have to be outgoing, outspoken. You can say very little and make a huge difference. And that really, like I said, that really speaks to having a goal and having a desire to achieve something, and really just seeing how things develop. develop too, and not getting so ambitious, which I'll talk about at some point, to where because you're so ambitious, you burn yourself out, and I've made that mistake.
Yeah, man. I think to combat that type of stuff, and first and foremost, I want to say thank you for the big ups, man. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
But it's all about the if factor, man. If you're a very ambitious person, or you're heavily motivated, or you have what I call the fire within, you know, it is something that everybody has. You just have to find what works for you. And most importantly, you also got to realize that this is, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, this is a marathon. You always start off with small steps, and eventually those small steps turn into bigger steps. You don't just come off the playground and, go to the big leagues like right away. You know, even LeBron James had to work through it. So, what I'm more or less trying to say, man, is the key thing or the if factor is to start. You start somewhere and then you learn and then you grow. You take those hardships and you twist them and make them to something great. That's nothing short of what I did, with the motivational text. They started off very rough and rugged. You had some profanity in it. You had it where it was not polished enough to the point where I may have let a little bit of my personal issues bleed in there a little bit too much. But now I personally believe that it's a lot more clean cut and it's a lot more relatable. And over time, you develop that type of talent. It's no different than you being an athlete, you being a scholar. You know what I'm saying? Over time, you just get better and better and better. It's repetition. Once you stay consistent, great things will happen.
yeah, and it's weird that you say how your motivational messages earlier on weren't as polished as they are now.
They were horrible. I look back at them now, man, and I'm just like, did I really write that? Really? Like that's embarrassing, but that all speaks to the growth.
Yeah. But what's nice is that you can go through it and you can kind of see, you can kind of you have a catalog of your own progression. You can go read your old stuff and
I don't
you
want
can see
to.
how far you come. You can see how far you came, which is, I mean, which is it's pretty cool that you have a catalog. A catalog of that, because a lot of people don't. You're every week you're taking the time to reflect on what's going on with you, and then you're sharing that with people that you care to share it with, and it's just it's something cool, and the consistency of it, just it's crazy for 10 years to just do it, and then like when I get because Joe he'll send that straight to me, so I get it, and it just comes in like clockwork. Sometimes I don't know what day of the week it is, but I know like it's Monday if that message is coming through because it comes through right on time. It don't matter, and it don't matter if it's a holiday or not. It's coming. It's coming through. So I mean, there's no days off on that, and that consistency, you're not gonna find that everywhere. So really just a testament to your work ethic right there.
It's nasty, man.
But
I'm a beast.
the one thing that um, when we developed this topic for ambition, I started to think about the factors because it's one thing to be ambitious, and to have goals and a desire to achieve something, but there has to be things that accompany you on that journey to wherever you want to be. So I was a while ago. I read this book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Pretty popular book. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. But there was two individuals that he spoke about, in this book. Please feel free to correct me, shoot us an email if you want to correct me on the the details of this situation I'm going to explain here. But there were two individuals. These were two very high IQ individuals, and you, if you know anybody who has some individuals with high IQ, they have sometimes the sacrifice of that high intelligence is their social capacity is not, those soft skills aren't the same as maybe someone with the lower IQ. So he talked about these two individuals, and there was one gentleman came from, he came from a good background. His parents, took good care of him. He was, I believe, he was born in an affluent community, so he was able to kind of take advantage of everything that was provided to him and all the opportunities. And this individual went on to be very successful. The name it escapes me. And then there was another individual, high IQ, very intelligent, who his family upbringing was not the greatest. He ended up going to college, but there was some sort of setbacks where he either got kicked out of college or had to come back home to help out with family. But I guess at the end of the story, what he explained was that this individual who had the high IQ, who didn't achieve all the success that the one individual achieved when this guy was older, he was living on a farm somewhere. And this is a gentleman, this individual with um, who's highly likely to succeed given the if the circumstances worked in his favor. Um, and I think what he told someone who came out to see him was that he still believes, even though things didn't work out for him, and he's living on a farm, doing farm whatever you do on a whatever a farmer does. Um, he still believes that he's as smart as anybody else out there, if not one of the most intelligent people in the world. He just understood that there was a series of circumstances that may have prevented him from achieving the goals that he had for himself. Uh, so sometimes it's what I kind of call it is, it's ambition and it's your setbacks. And it's sometimes your ambition meets your raw talent and your intelligence. And it doesn't always, sometimes you might have a goal and there's something that you want to achieve, but there's a lot of obstacles that keep you from getting there. So you have to identify what those obstacles are, and it's, the having the right circumstances can be helpful because your goal, you're hoping that your ambition meets your potential, um, and you hope that you're provided. In my experience, if you work long enough and you have a skill set, you learn what you're good at and you know where your weaknesses are. But if you're given that opportunity to see your potential, if you're presented with a challenge and you might think that, oh, I can't do it, or it's going to be tough, and then you end up pulling it off, you learn that you have a capacity to adapt and excel in certain given situations. So you have to kind of take a look at the things you've achieved and kind of look at what circumstances played into that success. Were you working with someone who allowed you to who allowed you to kind of make the most of an opportunity? Did you have a good mentor? Did you have access to resources that were helpful? So it's a lot. It's kind of a lot that plays into it. But I just wanted to touch on that story because I thought it was a good story that fits this, because you sometimes you have the potential, but you're not always able to live up to your potential because of uh, outside influences or other things that are going on that can prevent you from where you're trying to be.
Most definitely. I feel like just to piggyback off that story, I feel like it's very important, especially with people that have self-esteem issues or people that fail to look back in the past of what they've done to get to where they are in the present day. I think it's very important to have a list of accolades, man. And it's not to be cocky, it's not to be confident or anything like that. But I think it's very important that you do document a lot of your accomplishments, whether that's you've gotten a GED, you got a master's degree, whether you didn't made $100,000, whether you made $100 yesterday, whatever the case is, it could be a small fee, it could be a big fee, but I think you should list as many feats or um, I would say I would list as many things that gave you a hard time that you've actually accomplished where you felt like you put the most amount of work in or effort into. You need to write those down and keep them and hold them close because there's going to be a lot of times in the future where you're going to be even more challenged than you were previously. And you need those to kind of give you that extra push forward. That's just a tidbit on my end. That's kind of the reason why I started Motivational Mondays because I wanted to see how far I could go with it. And it got to a point now where I'm kind of like addicted to it. It comes second nature. It's one of those things where it's like, oh man, can I top the next piece next month that I wrote? Can I do better and better and better? It's all about mastering your craft. And the best way to master your craft is not forgetting what you've done in the past.
Yeah, and if I'll let Joe decide if he wants to share that information about how you can access his motivational um, blog, but it's really insightful and it's well thought. It's well thought out, and sometimes when I read them, I just I'm thinking, yeah,
It's not meant to be dissected in one day. I try to tell people that it's something that you keep to yourself and you just keep reading it and keep reading it because you're going to take something from it each and every time you read it.
yeah, you gotta let it marinate. Usually, that's what I have to do is let it marinate, so I can kind of process everything that he's sharing in the message that he's trying to relay. Um, but I wanted to kind of talk about ambition as far as the goals that kind of people have and when they don't kind of work out. Um, I think this has happened a lot to me.
Then
Um, I mean, just
failure's good. Failure's good. I just want to say that. Fail fast though, but failure's good.
yeah, but learn from your failure, and learn from your setbacks. To in my business, I mean, I've never started a business until the business I have now. I mean, and there's a lot of things that, I had to learn the hard way and get help with, but that equips me with information that when I come across someone who is trying to get started, I'm able to assist people with that. And that's what I want to do is be in a position to help others. And that's really the whole premise of my business is, helping people, and people helping people, not just me helping folks, but, empowering other people to have the confidence to reach out and help others. But you're going to come across setbacks, and I mean that's and you really have to, you have to understand that you're going to have setbacks with anything. I've had things that set me back. I mean, if we're going back to college, I've had things that set me back a year and a half. Um,
Boy, I could tell you some stories about that.
I think we both have stories. We could talk for hours on that. But I mean, it's important to just try. Even if you fail, and there's something that you feel like you've wanted to do, but you're struggling to kind of figure it out. Just give it a shot. See who's doing it on the most basic level. As I operate my business, with just my own income and no investors, it's important that I do with what I have. It's not that there's things that could make my business work a lot more efficiently. But right now, with what I have, I maximize that, and as things progress, you know, I know that I'll be able to do other things that I want to do. But just if you have a goal, you really need to just take time to work on it. And don't be scared. You'll talk to somebody when they're a lot older, and they'll say their biggest regret was not, doing this or doing that. Right now, if you have $10 in your bank account, but you have the desire to start your own business, what can you do with that $10? What can you do with whatever income you have coming in? What product can you produce with what you have? Take advantage of the resources, but reach out and see what's out there. And if you have questions about that, then utilize the internet. If you have a smartphone, you can use the internet. It's pretty easy, and there's resources that you can find where people can help you, or they'll at least point you in the right direction. So it's better to, you know,
There's absolutely no excuse. Like, we are way too accessible nowadays, and actually, we're way too accessible. Perfect example. Like, I talk to my girlfriend all the time, and I'm like, sometimes, man, you got way too much access to me, and I got way too much access to you. Like, it's just too accessible, man. So there's no excuse for you not to be able to find some type of outlet to get the help you need, man.
yeah. And sometimes I think sometimes sometimes the hardest working person is the person you never see.
Never see.
Um, I, I think society kind of, you focus on people who made it over, like the overnight successes and things like that, or someone who you know is viral and they blow up overnight. So sometimes you're putting in. You're gonna find yourself putting in some work, and there's not gonna be anybody around. It's not gonna be anybody there to congratulate you or anything, but you'll let your work do the talking. You'll let that product that you produce do the talking. So it's, that you kind of have to, for at least I have to remind myself that it's not going to be immediate, and you really have to work on it. And it's really important to keep things in perspective and have good people around you too. So when you hit those setbacks, when I hit my I'll probably hit a setback a week, easy. Uh, but um, but I always have other things that I'm working on. I have other projects going on that I can get into. But I have to keep moving forward. Every minute that I delay is a minute that keeps me from reaching the outcome that I want for myself. So just try
Yeah,
to.
that's the key factor, man. You know, you don't dwell on your failures, you dwell on your success. That's what keeps you going. Just like Marcus was saying, he's got his hand in multiple pots. That's the best way to keep your mind busy. Your mind plays tricks on you from time to time, and it's very important that you dwell in multiple things at once to keep you active, man. That's the whole name of the game. Stay active, and something's gonna land for you.
Yeah, that's it, man. You gotta just keep. Like I said, just keep working on it. But reach out to people if you have some folks. We'll touch on this probably in another video, but it's important to be mindful of the folks that you interact with on a everyday basis. Make sure those are positive people um, that are giving you information and support, that are helping you get to where you want to be. Having those people around you, having a good, I call it, in my mind, I call it the critical few people that I have in my life that keep me from going too far off. Or when I experience one of those setbacks, somebody will just tell me, well, why don't you just go work on that while you're waiting for these other things to kind of fall through. Like I had an issue with my business license recently, um, and it was for some reasons I won't get into. There was just a delay, just delay that maybe set me back a month and a half. But during that time, there was other things that I could work on. Like Joe and I could prep for this, getting the podcast ready to go. Or I could work on other, workbooks, other materials for my business. Even though without having the business license, I was prevented, from doing the transactional component of the business. I could still refine the products, work on the product, to make sure that when the customers get it, the people that consume the content and the materials, that the quality is even greater. Maybe the quality is even greater because I had to sit back to sit there and refine it before it went out to market. So just I said just keep your mind right. But if but I know how easy it is to get caught up in the setback, and you get a little discouraged, might feel a little depressed. But I mean, if you have the right people around you, you can bypass that. But you gotta talk. I say I'm guilty of not reaching out to people as much as I should, but I got a good group of people, very few people. I don't have a lot of friends and I don't want a lot of friends, but the friends that I have and the family that I have that check in with me routinely, they check in on me. So I hope everyone who's listening, you have somebody that checks in on you, just see how things are going. And I hope that you're checking in on those people that are important to you as well, because those relationships matter.
There you have it. I think he said more than enough. I don't think I need to really go over that or even add on that, man. I think you hit that one.
But I mean, that's all I have for this one, man. I'm trying not to go on a tangent, try to stay focused on what we came here for today. So so I'll leave some of the other things, uh, hopefully for our next podcast, which we'll try to get to you uh, as soon as possible. But Joe, do you have anything else for the folks?
No, no, I just say keep tuning in. We're only going to get better and better and better at this. This is our first run. I don't think we did terrible. If we did, please let us know so I can laugh at our comments because I really don't care. We're going to get better with time. That's all. Just give us some
Yep.
time.
But thank you all for joining us for the Unscripted Dreams podcast. We hope that you
Thank
enjoyed our
you.
discussion and it was able to provide some, if not insight for yourself, for somebody else. If you're getting a laugh, I'm glad that you get a little humor in your day on our behalf. But if you have questions, if you want to contact us, you can email us at unscripteddreams@gmail.com. And we also will have information on how to support our show in the description. But for now, I'm Marcus. I'm signing off.
And this is Joe. Thank you for listening. Take care.